Hi everyone, my name is Heather McCamey, and I am going to take you down a path to Medicare today. Hopefully, at the end of our presentation, you'll see that this journey does not have to be a stressful one. So, on the agenda today, we're going to go over who we are, what an ICHRA is, how it works, and how it works with Medicare. And then we'll do a high level overview of Medicare, and then we'll finish up with steps to enroll. So, who are we at Elite Medicare Specialists? We are a group of independent Medicare insurance agents. We are based in Virginia, but we do have a national footprint. We represent multiple insurance companies and multiple insurance plans. We also are super proud of the fact that we can offer a concierge-level service, meaning you won't be calling into a call center. You will be assigned an agent who will be working with you one-on-one. You will have that agent's cell phone number, you will have their email address, and that is the only person that you'll be working with throughout your transition. All of this is brought to you at no cost. Your employer and your insurance broker for your employer and the third-party administrator that's helping your company transition to an ICHRA have all worked together to bring this service to you free of cost. We, at the end of the day, are just real people that want to give you real answers and provide you with real support so we can help make Medicare make sense to you. So let's talk about an ICHRA overview. So what is an ICHRA? An ICHRA is just really an acronym for Individual Coverage Health Reimbursement Arrangement. This was part of a 2020 expansion plan for an ICHRA that was passed by our government. It allows employers to reimburse employees for individual health insurance on a tax-free basis. It provides flexibility for healthcare coverage. So an ICHRA enables employees to go out and select their own insurance plan. It moves away from a one-size-fits-all because you have access to typically dozens of individual insurance plans versus one or two that your company can offer during open enrollment. It provides flexibility for employers and employees. It helps control costs for employers and ultimately employees. And then it also broadens access to healthcare choices. So how does it work? So an employer starts the process by defining how much they are going to give employees towards their insurance. This is called a defined contribution. The employer is prepared to put that into an ICHRA account. Think of an account as a debit card or a checking account. An ICHRA is kind of the financial vehicle. The allocated fixed amount of money each month goes towards the purchase of the employee's individual health insurance plan. All the contributions made into that account are on a tax-free basis. Employees go out, they select their insurance plans. The money that the employer is giving them is applied towards that overall premium. If there's no difference, then the employee doesn't have to pay anything extra for the insurance plan. If there is a difference, then the employee has that typically taken out of their check, just like they would with the group plan. And again, it's all done on a tax-free basis. So let's talk about Medicare 101. We want you to understand some of the high level overview of Medicare. So who's eligible for Medicare? Most people in the US that are 65 and older are eligible for Medicare. Some people under 65 can also receive Medicare if they've been on Social Security disability for more than 24 months, or if they have end-stage renal disease or Lou Gehrig's disease, which is also known as ALS. You do have to qualify from a residency standpoint. You either have to be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident for 5 consecutive years in order to qualify. So let's go over some of the basics of Medicare. There are many pieces and parts to Medicare, and it can get very confusing. But here, let's look at Original Medicare. Medicare Part A is what most people automatically get when they turn 65. This is considered hospital insurance. So if you are admitted to the hospital, you have to spend the night in the hospital. You need to go to skilled nursing care, or you need hospice care. That all falls under Medicare Part A. Medicare Part B is what's known as medical insurance. So this is if you have to go to the doctor, you need to get lab work done or testing done on an outpatient basis. That all gets charged off to your Medicare Part B. Medicare Part A does not cost typically because you've paid Medicare taxes your entire working life, and so you've kind of prepaid for your Medicare Part A. Medicare Part B, however, does have a cost, a monthly cost. You'll notice that I haven't talked about prescription drug coverage, and so I hope you're seeing that Medicare Part A and Part B do not cover all of the medical needs of most Americans that are hitting the 65-year mark. So a lot of people will go ahead and get extra plans to be complementary towards their original Medicare. There's a couple ways to set that up. First, you can get what's known as a Medicare supplement plan, or sometimes people refer to this as a Medigap plan, and a prescription drug plan. So you put all those pieces together. You have your Medicare Part A, your Medicare Part B, a Medigap Medicare supplement plan, and a prescription drug plan. That kind of rounds everything out for you. If you don't want to go that route because there's too many pieces and parts, you can go with Medicare Advantage. That's another option. That is takes all the pieces and parts and kind of puts them together in one plan, so you're working with one insurance company. Everybody's personal preference is different. And again, we love looking at what you need in a plan and matching you up with different plans that would work for you. So let's talk about enrollment periods. There are two main enrollment periods that could be impacting you as the Medicare eligible employee at this point. First and foremost, everybody goes into an initial enrollment period the 7 months surrounding their 65th birthday. So the 3 months before you turn 65, the month you turn 65, and the 3 months after you turn 65 is known as your initial enrollment period, or IEP. That's the first time you can sign up for Medicare. If you're outside of that initial enrollment period and you've continued on your employer coverage, you are going to enter into what's called a special enrollment period. So because your employer is changing the way they're offering insurance, you are going into a special enrollment period, which allows you to look at your Medicare options. There are a couple other enrollment periods that aren't really applicable to you at this point, so we'll keep it simple and focus on those top two. I'm sure many of you have heard about a late enrollment penalty and might have questions about that. A late enrollment penalty is typically assessed if you were eligible to apply for Medicare Part B and you didn't take the opportunity to enroll, and you did not have insurance through an employer. Most of you transitioning over to Medicare at this point have been covered under your employer since the time you turned 65 or were eligible for Medicare, so you will not get assessed a late enrollment penalty if you meet those criteria. The same applies to Medicare Part D, or the prescription drug part of Medicare. If you were eligible for Part D and you did not enroll, then we would just need to show that you were covered under your employer plan, and your late enrollment penalty would be waived. We can help you with all of that as we're walking through the enrollment process with you in your Medicare. We'll help you get those proper forms.
So the cost of Medicare, how much does Medicare cost? Honestly, it can be all over the board, but the average person that's on Medicare spends about $237.40 a month. So this is comprised of a Medicare Part B premium, so what you pay each month for Part B, and this could be a cost for prescription drug coverage or a Medicare Advantage plan. Typically, with Medicare supplements, this cost would be a little bit higher. So let's talk about reimbursement for you as the Medicare eligible employee. As we talked about the other employees that are under the age of 65 and transitioning to individual plans, your employer has that defined contribution, that set amount that they're going to give to those employees to go purchase individual coverage. You too get that reimbursement or that defined contribution. You're just going to use it to help offset the cost of your Medicare. So the way that this works is you have your employer defined contribution amount. We go through the process of enrolling you in your Medicare Part A and B. We pick different plans, either a Medigap with a prescription plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. I help you get all the documentation collected, and then I can submit the reimbursement to the company for you so you know that all the documents have been sent in. After a check and a processing time, then that reimbursement amount typically makes it back to your paycheck on a pre-tax basis. So you start seeing your paychecks grow. You will, as a Medicare person, need to pay your Medicare premiums up front, but your employer does typically reimburse you through your payroll checks. If it's not through the payroll checks, then they'll have some other vehicle in order to reimburse you. But most of the time, employers are doing this through the payroll checks. So my service to you. In the beginning, we are going to guide you on where to go to get your original Medicare application submitted, whether that's for Part A, Part B, or Part A and B. We're gonna help you figure out what you need to do. In the middle of the process, we go through a needs analysis. This gives us the opportunity to gather some information from you about your medical needs and then tailor coverage choices for you. We'll educate you on those options, and then ultimately, we will help you enroll in those Medicare plans. Towards the end of the process, we collect the documentation needed to submit a reimbursement request so you can start getting reimbursed for those Medicare premiums. And ongoing or endless, we are here to help you every step of the way for as long as you want to work with us. Life has things that pop up. Medicare plans change, and so we will always be here as a resource for you. The most important thing you can do at this point is to start your enrollment process in Medicare. I can't stress this enough. We have to rely on the government to get your Medicare approved before we can really work on completing the process. We have to have that Medicare Part A and B number in place before we can kind of round out the process. And sometimes the government takes a little bit longer than we would like. So the first thing you want to do, if you need Part A and Part B, so you don't have a Medicare number at all at this point, the fastest and easiest way to sign up for your Medicare is to go to ssa.gov/Medicare/sign up. That web address right there in blue, that's the one you want to go to. You'll create a Social Security account, and then once you've created that account, you'll follow the prompts to do your application. If you don't want to do it on the computer, you can use the call center that Social Security has. You can contact them at 800-772-1213. They're usually there from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, and they do have multi-language resources. The last way that you can enroll in your Medicare Part A and B is to make an appointment at your local Social Security office. If you already have your Part A and you just need your Part B, the process is similar but slightly different. You would go ahead and go to ssa.gov/Medicare/sign up. sign dash up backslash part dash B dash only. So again, that web address there, you already have your part A, so you really only need your part B. You'll get into your Social Security account or create one if you haven't done so already. And then again, you'll follow the prompts. You can also use that 800 number, the 800-772-1213, and let them know that you want to apply for your Part B only, or you can make an appointment at your local Social Security office. There's a couple steps to enroll. First of all, to complete the application online, if you already have Part A, you are going to need your Medicare number. You also need your current address and phone number and a valid email address. And finally, you want to make sure that you've received a completed CMS L564 form signed by your employer. This is the form that shows Medicare that you've been covered under your company insurance. This is vitally important to those of you that are over the age of 65 and have not enrolled in Medicare. This is the form that will prevent you from having a late enrollment penalty. Finally, here is my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me any way you would like. My email address is hmckamey, MCKAMEY, at elitemedspec.com, or my cell phone number is 727-542-8116. You can either call me or text me. I just ask if you text me, if you could please put your first and last name and your company name so I know who you're associated with. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for giving me your time, and we look forward to hearing from all of you and helping you with this important transition. Have a good one. Bye bye.